Tell me when you want to start.
So it was 10 or 11 years ago, and I was with my son, and we were on a plane on the way back from Florida, where we had been visiting my elderly father, back to Boston. So we were feeling pretty good about ourselves, because when we had reached the airport in Florida, we were told by the gate attendant that this was the last plane getting out of Florida heading to Boston, because there was a storm brewing. It was the middle of winter, it was snowing. So we were riding along on the plane, and it was about 20 minutes into the flight when an announcement comes over the loudspeaker. Is there a doctor on the plane? If there is a doctor on the plane, please identify yourself and come to the back of the plane. So I think I forgot to tell you that I'm a doctor. So when I heard that announcement, I kind of shriveled down in my seat a little bit, and I looked around to see if anybody else was getting up, and nobody was. So that's about the third worst announcement you can hear on a plane. There's a bomb on the plane's going down, or is there a doctor on the plane? So I got up and made my way to the back of the plane. I said, I'm a doctor. There was a family there with 2 kids, and one of them had been kind of passing out and waking up and passing out and waking up and had a fever. So at the moment, the child looked pretty stable, and I thought, okay, it's going to be all right. And so looked at the kid and started to make an assessment. So I said to the flight attendant, "Is there a medical kit maybe with a stethoscope?" And she goes, "Well, can you prove you're a doctor?" So I looked in my pocketbook, and I didn't have my little pocket doctor license with me, and I can assure you I wasn't faking it. So the parents, in the meantime, are over at the side saying, "Give the doctor the stethoscope, give the doctor the stethoscope." So, she goes, "Well, I have to call ground control." So she goes over to ground control. I hear, mumble, 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 sick child, mumble, 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 doctor, mumble, mumble, stethoscope. She comes back in a minute and says, "Well, ground control has approved you to use the stethoscope." So, so I sit down with the family, and I'm kind of riding along with them. Like I said, the kid's kind of stable, a little woozy, going to sleep, waking up. And then, the other child the 4-year-old child starts to puke all over the place. So in the meantime, my son is up in front of the plane. He's about 14 or 15, so I figure he's okay up there. But another 20 minutes goes by, and the flight attendant comes over, and she calls me over and says, "Doctor, we have a situation." I'm like, "Okay, what's that?" She goes, "It's snowing too much. The plane can't land in Boston. Doctor, should we land in Providence or Montreal?" So I'm thinking, a few minutes ago, I wasn't even authorized to use the stethoscope, and now I'm like an air traffic controller. So at the same time, I'm thinking, I live in Boston. There's Providence, Montreal, Providence, Montreal. I said, Providence, we should definitely land in Providence. So we're riding, they go, "Doc, you got it, Dr. Providence." So we're riding along, and then another announcement comes on the PA system. It's snowing too much to land in Boston. We were going to land in Providence, but it turns out the runway is too short, so we're landing in Montreal. So the whole plane was going to Montreal. So the story goes, is a little bit anticlimactic after that. We landed in Montreal. The paramedics came to take the child to the hospital to get evaluated. I said, I'm done watching this kid. The parents didn't really want to go to the hospital, but I said, "You're going to the hospital." So they took us all to a hotel, and there was a big buffet spread, lobster, shrimp cocktail, glass of champagne. Oh, I think I forgot to mention, it was New Year's Eve. So we stayed in the hotel, and in the morning we had to work our way back to the plane and fly back to Boston. And American Airlines gave me membership in their frequent flyer club with 30,000 miles and a bottle of champagne. It was before 9/11, so you could still take a bottle of champagne onto a plane. And we got back to Boston, and we had a little bit of trouble because we didn't have our passports with us, because we hadn't known we were going to Canada. But they did let us back into the country, and that's the story of how I got transported from Florida to Boston via Montreal, one day, night, and day.